Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact, where business insight meets startup innovation. And now, please give a warm welcome to your host, Brian Sparks!
Brian, for those who are listening and just couldn't experience that in studio, that's the first I've seen you actually get up out of your seat and throw down the Brian
You're
Sparks.
going to have to go to YouTube to catch the visual on that.
That was amazing.
But yeah, I really let that one rip.
Yeah.
I don't know how to build on this. There's no, like I've already hit the ceiling and gone maybe slightly beyond, but...
yeah, I'm still getting back to the confetti and the T-shirts into the crowd.
I need a T-shirt. I need a T-shirt cannon.
Yeah,
really
that'd be
do.
amazing. Well, I want to welcome everybody to Silicon Valley Impact. I'm your host, Brian Sparks. The purpose of this show is to have honest conversations about what it takes to build great businesses and communities so that you can make an impact in your own. Yes, all together now. In your own.
I can't tell if you like me doing that or not.
I do.
I'm not 100% sure.
I love it. And
all right.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Brian, we've got a lot of things going on.
I know so much.
Yeah, and we're getting, with all these things we got going on with the events, we had a great event down in Santa Monica with Ignite. We got to meet a lot of great investors down there. We're going to have Ignite team back on very soon. But
when aren't you going to be in, where are you going to be next week?
Next week, I'm going to be at Transform with both of you. We have Jessie and Sheryl in the house, who you'll meet in a minute. And we're going to be down at Transform. We're going to be doing the startup innovation stage. So you'll learn a little bit more about their companies. We've got Dave in the house, too, as well, with Blackrock. But we also have the event at Foothill coming tonight, which is that's the pitch event we have. You two will be there as well, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Both of you are pitching.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Yes.
Yeah, for those of you listening.
Which, of course, was last week.
Yeah.
Right, so you should be asking them how it went.
Yeah. There's going to be a delay. Go ahead, ladies. Tell us how good it was. Yeah.
I'm so glad that's over.
Yeah, but I heard you both killed.
Yeah.
I heard you guys just really crushed.
Yeah, so we have the pitch and panel coming up. We also have Founders and Funders. That's tonight. So if you all want to come out for that, we always have that the second Tuesday of every month. You can check that out on our website. You can go to SiliconValleyVenture.com for all our upcoming events, and also check out our new angel group, which is the Golden Valley Angels, which is going to be coming together soon. More
I like
events.
saying this. I did this last week, but I like saying Golden Valley Angels.
Yeah,
I like that.
Well, it's in the heart of the Golden State, right beyond
the Golden Gate.
Right,
I know. We've got a kid's book coming here with the Golden Angels. Right, we're going to get them started early on this venture.
All right. Our comedy show, Brian and I will be.
I got a couple things I wanted to point out too. I was looking at stats last night for the show, and I just want to let everybody know. First of all, if you're listening. Listenership is a passion for us. We want to get the word out. We want to build communities. We want to strengthen communities. We want to get these great conversations into the hands and ears of as many people as want to know about it. So if you're listening, tell a friend, pass it on, text them a link to the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. But because of this, in the last 3 months, we're up 336% in our listenership, right? Yay. Which is great. Thank you very much. I should get a little bit of.
There you go. The audience is feeling it.
And I wanted to just rattle off that we are being listened to not only in the United States, but also Kuwait, Japan, Hong Kong, United Arab Emirates, South Korea, United Kingdom, Nepal, Canada, Netherlands, Romania, Sweden, Norway, Portugal, Nigeria, Pakistan, Russia, Denmark, India, Kenya, Singapore, and more.
Wow.
Woo!
Yeah, so we are global, and we have wonderful conversations. I'm a huge fan, Brian. I'm a big fan of yours, as you know, and I just want to encourage people to get the word out and pass it along.
Yeah,
You're doing somebody a favor.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Right.
Yeah, we bring in a lot of great people, and yes, thank you. and we started that for this reason, so we could introduce you to great people. We have 3 great people here today. We have Dave, Jessie, and Sheryl. So we'll go around the horn. You guys can give a quick little introduction. I've known you all for a little while now, but our audiences may or may not be getting to know you. But Dave, good to see you, buddy. Glad you can make it in. I've been pursuing you for a while.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. It's great being in the audience. It's easier when you could see the two Brians rather than just hear the word Brian over and over again.
Which Brian is that? You just blew my mind.
Very cool. So yeah, Dave Hefner. I work at Blackrock. I've been at Blackrock my whole career, so over 2 decades now. Blackrock's a large asset management firm. We do a bunch of stuff in the AI space. That's where I play a role. So I have an AI dedicated role. I could get into my background a bit, but my role, we call it the AI champion. And it doesn't mean I won a competition, but really just being an evangelist for AI. So I lead our strategy, our governance, our adoption across our investment functions.
Nice. And so we're going to double click on a lot of that. And I may just take the reins and hand them over to all three of you, and you can talk AI because I know our audience is really interested in that topic. But before I open up the floor on these topics, Jessie, go ahead and let us know what you're working on.
All right, I'm Jessie Zaylia. I'm the founder and CEO of a tech startup called twrk. We are in the job search landscape, building a platform to match job seekers with recruiters through AI and swipe technology. So I say it's like Tinder for jobs. And we just finished our MVP yesterday, hot off the presses.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yeah. That's applause from all over the world. Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice. And you have a little interesting background too. Well, one, you won Startup, or were one of the winners at Startup Grind that positioned you here. We have a big partnership with Startup Grind. They have their yearly event coming up at the end of April. You can go to startupgrind.com and check that out. But you won one of their events.
Second place,
Yeah.
yes. Second place at the Silicon Valley pitch battle. And it was great fun. I went against 20 other startups, and it was a great experience. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Well, congratulations. Good to see you. And
Thank you.
It seems like I've been seeing you at all these events over the last month, and you're just getting out there and meeting the ecosystem. I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, Brian. Glad to be here.
All right. And Sheryl, good to see you. We met last year at Transform.
Yes, we did on the innovation stage. So yes, Sheryl Anjanette, founder and CEO of Parsley360. So Parsley is an AI-enabled corporate performance and wellness platform. It's kind of a holistic systems-based approach. And not just AI as a useful tool, but really AI for people. So really getting in there with Pocket Coach and working also with the leadership, the organizational team to unify that system and make sure that we're getting kind of closing those gaps that are leading to things like burnout and lost productivity.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you got a great book.
I do. Thank you, by the way. Yes, I'm an author. My book is The Imposter Lies Within. Silence your inner critic, tame your fear, unleash your badassery.
No.
Nice. That's
badasses.
amazing. I love that.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about that too, because Brian and I were actually talking about the imposter syndrome before we came on.
And I don't know. I mean, I think it's very few people who escape, who live an entire life and escape imposter syndrome entirely. It affects us all in some way or another, I think.
Yeah, and in the startup community, I think it's revealed. If you're going to have any inkling of imposter syndrome, and you go out and fundraise, launch a company, build a company, go to market with a company, you're doing all these, I think at some level, at some point, everyone feels that. If this matters to you, if what you're doing matters, you're going to feel that, right? So we'll talk a little bit about some of your discoveries in that.
Yeah.
But so all three of you have one thing in common. You're all into AI, a space that is kind of very new to me and a lot of our listeners, but also a lot of our listeners have deep insights. So we'll get into that. But Dave, let's start with you in terms of your journey into this ecosystem. And I said I was going to ask you this question when we were in the green room earlier. What do you love about this ecosystem? Because you're at a very popular, very well-known company. From your perspective within Blackrock, what is it that you love and what is it that you're working on?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a new age. We have a new capability that we've never had before, and it's like no other. So I'm super excited because it's so rare. It's like a once in a lifetime opportunity where you know or can have conviction that something's going to be the future. It's going to infiltrate everything we do, not just at Blackrock, but the whole world. And so, and we know we're in early days, like the very beginning stages of this. So when you know those two things, like what I love is I have the opportunity for myself to pivot my career and jump full speed into this field. And you could have that conviction, because if you could be at something at the beginning, then you could see how it evolves over time. And sure, if you haven't been studying AI for the last 10, 15 years, that's fine. This is new for everyone. Even the people that have been studying that, large language models and the way they're being used, it's all new for everyone. So that's one of the exciting things. And then at Blackrock, I mean, having been there my whole career, like I've worked with pretty much every group in the company. So you see kind of like where the opportunities lie to apply this new capability. And so it opens a door for all sorts of new solutions. And it's just like, which one can I go after now? Which one can I go after a year from now? And you just kind of keep building on that.
Yeah. And so with this being so new, I mean, you're talking about, I mean, it's been around for years. I mean, if you're an engineer and you've been in this space, you know that you've seen this coming for 10, 15 years. But for most of us, it is new and it's evolving very quickly. I mean, tools that were really cool and cutting edge 3 months ago were like, now it's like, well, we don't need that anymore.
It's old hat.
It's old hat. So from your perspective, you got something?
It's just going at a breakneck pace.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous how quickly things, especially in video and all. I mean, the consumer facing side of it is going so fast we can barely keep up. And that's one of the things that I'm excited about today is I want to hear more about the behind the scenes. What the pace is on that side of things.
Yeah, and so we're definitely going to get it from a founder's perspective, but from a funder's perspective, how do you stay on top of what is new and relevant and what has legs going forward? I mean, we can sit and talk about the importance of infrastructure as AI becomes more prevalent in the world, but for tools and applications, even if I'm using that, if that word even applies anymore, what do you look for now with everything being new from pretty much month to month?
Yeah. So first of all, it helps to live and breathe it. And you want, wherever you're working, you want to be doing that yourself or have someone in your organization that's doing it. And so for me, I mean, I wanted to do it for my career, but my personal life, and even for being a father and like knowing how best to set up my son for success. And he's 9 years old. So I stay on top of it, and I made that like a mission. So I actually forced myself to do it by creating a weekly newsletter within Blackrock. So it's internal only, but I do that so it keeps me up to speed, and then I can make it easy for everyone else to keep up to speed. And if you're monitoring it week after week, then you get a sense of what's big and what's not, what's a game changer and what's not. And then you could kind of build up that knowledge over time as well. And it all adds upon itself. So I think that's one thing. And then from there, you kind of like, there's definitely trends that kind of start picking up, but when the capabilities just kind of jump, and we had one just this week or late last week from China that was like a new agentic framework. And that's like opening the doors to people or opening their eyes as to like what could be with agents. And so every time you kind of see these new capabilities with real examples, that makes it easier for people to just even understand what's possible, which I think is a big part of it.
How does, and before I bring Sheryl and Jessie in this conversation, so how does an investor who wants to get involved with AI and what may be something to invest in, how do they trust putting X amount of dollars into a company now and determine, well, this will be relevant 6 months from now? Like, what is that topic this week that you're writing about or we're talking about that gives us some stability in this very fast growing boom, I guess you would call it?
Right. So, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's a proliferation of AI startups out there. And so, like, which ones are going to win out? It's hard to say. But you mentioned application, like there's been a bit of a pull and tug around like, are rappers effective, or will they just get wiped away someday? And so the wrapper just means like building an application on top of the large language model without building a large language model yourself. And I think what we're seeing is there's just so many places where you could go in and build an AI solution. And so there's so many opportunities. So these verticals that exist in different fields like medical and healthcare versus finance versus law, all of them need people working hard on building good solutions there. And the big model producers will have some general purpose capabilities that can fill a role in those different verticals. But if you could go deep and you could go in an area that you know other people aren't striving to be successful in, then you're going to have an edge and you're going to be able to build something that could withstand the test of time.
Got a lot to go with that. So, I mean, now let's bring Sheryl and Jessie into this. Jessie, I'll start with you. Again, new frontier, right? There's gold in them hills.
That's right.
You're building twrk. Tell us a little bit about twrk and the AI capabilities that you have adopted into solving the problem in recruiting.
It's interesting because I've even had this conversation with my team about, okay, so we have the AI subsets that we've been using, LLM, machine learning, and we, marrying them together in a way, connecting them in a way that's useful in order to best match job seekers to open jobs that are posted. So we have our proprietary AI algorithm that we've built, but, I've talked to my team about what are we going to do about agents? What are we going to do about, we need to stay on top of it because, like the other Brian, that's
that's
terrible.
fine. No, I'm down.
Brian,
I actually embrace it. I'm the other Brian.
okay. Like the other Brian mentioned, it's changing so incredibly rapidly. I was telling my dad is still alive. He's 82 years old. He doesn't take one medication. He gardens. He's very healthy. And so his mind is with it. And I've talked to him about AI and I said, Dad, you know how we talk about TVs like TVs? We don't say color TVs. Everybody knows that when you're talking about a TV, you're talking about a color TV. And that's AI is going to be like that. And right now, startups say, we're an AI startup, blah, blah, blah. That's going to not last for very long. People better get on or they got to get out. So anyway, we're using LLM machine learning right now in order to really, really best match the job seeker. So right now, a lot of companies use keywords and filters, and that is just so inefficient. There's no need to be that inefficient anymore.
So when you made the decision, is this your first company, by the way?
It's my first tech startup. I've started little companies, like I had my own law office, and it was very easy to get business, but I just hated it. So forget about that.
And the audience collectively beyond the wall just said, she's a lawyer? She used to be a lawyer? You made that leap? So that's a whole nother story.
Can I say badass on the radio?
Sure, certainly can, Marianne. So you decided to make that leap. So with everything evolving so quickly, does the speed of the evolution of AI worry you?
It doesn't worry me. It excites me because we don't have to be passive, people standing by just watching it happen. We can create. It takes money and time to create, but you also have some very young and or hungry individuals who are wanting to create themselves. And if you can get yourself hooked up with some of those people, I mean, really the sky is the limit, especially right now. Right now is hot, hot, hot.
I like it. Okay, Sheryl, I definitely got to bring you in because you've been working on Parsley360 for a year now.
Yeah, 18 months.
18 months. So talk about your evolution, a little bit about what you're bringing to market and tap in on this conversation about the speed at which AI is evolving from a founder's perspective.
Yeah, well, I got really, really lucky because I found a co-founder who's been in AI for 40 years. So he's seen these ups and down cycles, and he saw this great innovation that did not have the compute power to make it happen, and now we do. So where a lot of people kind of leapfrog some great innovation and great approaches to AI, he knew that there were some real golden nuggets back there that we could bring them in. So basically, we've developed a proprietary reasoning engine. And I say that because we're really an empathetic engine, but To be empathetic, that's a higher level of reasoning. And one thing I do want to say is when we think of large language models, a lot of us are thinking of Gemini and ChatGPT and, the big ones. But there are actually, and we don't use this term, smaller, large language models. So you can make what we might call a medium-sized, quote-unquote, large language model proprietary. So you don't have to go in and spend billions of dollars to do this. So that's what we did. We created, quote-unquote, large language model, but our own proprietary language model. And rather than just being useful and task-oriented, which is fantastic, we need that, we have made this more of a people app, like a people product where it becomes like a pocket coach for somebody and you can speak to it. It's very human-like. It has, the human voice and the human empathy and the understanding and long discourse. So that's really what we did. But I think it's really important, Brian, to add that AI is still a tool one way or another. It's really about the application. What problem does it solve?
And what did you see as, when you're building a language model, large language model, medium, large language model, to understand empathy, what are you seeing in the market that needs to be addressed as a pain point for you to go out on this limb?
Well, our pain point that we started with were really people in the workplace. I have a passion for people and health, but I also have a passion to see organizations succeed of all sizes, because I think that when organizations succeed, people succeed, and when people succeed, organizations succeed. They go hand in hand. So I've just had this passion for organizational health and really seeing people win, people get what they need, get what they want. And so the pain point that I saw was this lack of empathy that's gotten worse and worse as we become more stressed and more disconnected from one another. The ability to step into someone else's shoes, even if you haven't had their experience, even if you can't even relate to their experience, but the ability to be open enough to imagine what it must be like to be in their shoes and to listen, actively, really attentively.
So really quick, is this something where you could use it in an organization and then ultimately close the gaps that may be happening through internal strife, poor culture, cliques kind of battling against each other? You now have this empathetic model that you can engage with to help kind of smooth this over where people may be failing. Is this what I'm hearing?
Yes. So we've made it affordable enough for organizations to put a pocket coach in every employee's hand. So from the C-suite to the front line is what we say. Rather than it just being that coaching available to your managers and senior leaders. Now, everyone in the organization can have a pocket coach. So if you're struggling with not being understood or valued or heard or respected, or you just are managing work-life strife, which so many of us are, we have an incredibly anxious workforce right now. And so you've got that coach at your fingertips.
So real quick, so if you get a scathing email, it comes in and it's really like you want to respond now, but you should kind of wait till the morning. However, there's this middle ground where pocket coach kind of pops out and goes, all right, well, how should I respond to this from an empathetic perspective in order to keep this fire from accelerating, so to speak? Could I just...
Yeah, that's such a great use case because that happens all the time. We read an email, maybe we personalize it. We're trying to fill in the blanks. What did that person mean? And then if we continue in those negative thought processes, we're probably ruminating about it. But there is that moment where you just want to react. And instead you can go to your pocket coach and say, can you read this email for me and tell me what you think?
So Sheryl, I just want to jump in here. I was a managing partner and basically practically the COO of my prior law firm. And I had to deal with a lot of internal strife and struggle. Is this something that, sometimes I can imagine a situation where even if you have a pocket coach in every employee's back pocket, so to speak, that they would, it's up to them to use it. They have to actually use it.
Yep.
And even if they were to use it, they might still expect their manager or supervisor to take sides, or maybe there might be a really poisonous situation where a manager is going to have to put their foot down about a situation. So would the Pocket Coach help managers sort of know, I hate to say which side to take, but and then how to deal with that? And also, can it sort of be used as kind of an objective scapegoat that would kind of help the managers not be perceived as evil or they're taking sides?
Jess, did you get an email this morning that you're trying to get answered?
I'm genuinely interested. This is really fascinating.
This is coming from the attorney who's looking to the judge to make decisions about how this is going to play out, right? Or a jury.
The law is very, very slow to change, but I am curious about this management component.
Yeah, so it does work very much the same with managers, but knowing it's a manager because it's hyper-personalized, right? So it gets to know you over time, and it understands contextually where you are in the organization and what you're up against. So if you're the manager, now it says, first of all, let's understand this other person, where they're coming from. Even if we need to give them feedback, there might be a better way to give that feedback. Right?
Interesting.
Because I used to do a lot of management training, and what I would always teach my managers is listen first, ask open questions before you give the feedback.
So what I'm hearing is this capacity of AI to take multiple perspectives. So Dave, I want to bring you in on this too. You are seeing quick evolution of these language models to become more and more human, to look at things from multiple perspectives. This seems to be moving very quickly. I mean, it's one thing to look at the data and report on the data, but now to integrate this perspective of the human connection, human touch, is this humanoid type experience becoming more and more a reality?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people have very strong views one way or another on this, but some of the most recent model releases have been to make them more human-like, and some of the ones that are doing better than others also have that nature to them. So it's definitely a trend that people are voting with their feet on, and I think has some real value there. It's just a lot of this has to do with adoption, and like anytime there's a new technology, it takes time and effort for people to adapt to it. Or adapt to it. So the more you could make that process easier, the better off everyone's going to be. I have like a rule of thumb that you got to spend at least 10 hours with, say, a chatbot before you get kind of comfortable enough with it to have a feel for it, to sort of trust what you're doing with it, and to start to get good with it, that you'll actually keep going back to it.
So I got a question about timing for all of us here at this point. And Dave, I'll start with you. Is adoption has always been a hurdle for investors. Like, how quickly can the market adopt what we're putting out? And right now, with the market looking at different language models coming out as applications, whatever it may be, different AI tools. From your perspective, what do you see as a I don't know how to frame this so I don't lead in any way. What is timely right now? What is hot in terms of what investors are possibly looking for versus what may be a little bit further removed? I mean, there's this timing issue and educating. And I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out myself, even in the questions, but is there something that investors are looking at that maybe the timing may be right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a constant trade-off between performance and cost of like using the model. How good is it versus how much does it cost? And so models that can kind of optimize that are attractive. Small models that Sheryl brought up are attractive in a lot of ways. If there's a trend that's not quite there yet, but running models on edge devices, which means on your laptop, on your phone, like we see that as the future, and it's going to take some time to get there. There will be a need to have small models and large models. And so one of the big trends, people are saying that 2025 is the year of AI agents. And so agents will be using small models and large models at their disposal for the right task at hand. And so a bunch of models will come into play. And so I think like edge devices, models running there, this trade-off of performance versus cost, Reasoning models is a whole nother category as well, and that leads into agents. So those are kind of like the big themes and the areas that you need to be kind of focusing on to be successful here.
When you say edge, open up that a little bit more. What do you mean when you say edge model?
Yeah, it's just the model has to be small enough so to run not on a data center, not on a big cluster of GPUs, and so so edge is a category that means a laptop, a cell phone. It could mean a robot. It could mean a car. So it's like any device that's not the data center, basically. So your laptop counts as that. And so if you could run something locally on one of these devices, then it'll be fast. It could be kind of contained to only to keep your data in that one location. So there's less concerns around data security. So there's different advantages to having that. The cost comes down as well. But when you go smaller, you also lose some of the performance. So there's reasons to have larger models that run on data centers. And also, like, if you're going to be serving up a lot of users, you need a data center. Just like today, Meta and Facebook, before they had AI, they had a lot of servers to satisfy all the use that their customers, their users had. Same with YouTube and all the videos, or Netflix and all the streaming. So just to call out a few examples.
So, Brian, we're going to take a quick little break. And when we come back, we're going to talk with Dave, Sheryl, and Jessie about this idea of resistance, because what's important to investors and funders is traction. And so I'm curious what kind of barriers you've come up against in terms of pitching your idea to investors, the market, and how can we kind of close that gap to educating our market and our investors with what is being built. We'll talk about that when we come back. All right, we're back from the break, and during the break, we were having, you're laughing, Brian, we were having some lively...
I don't usually bring you in with applause, and I think it threw you just a little bit.
I did.
Yeah. I've been a little applause happy today.
I'm surprised the audience is still awake. All right, enough of that.
Are you kidding? This has been riveting so far.
with me speaking so much. All right, so, but during the break, we were having a great conversation about some of the barriers. And we mentioned that before we went to the break, we were going to talk about that. Mm-hmm. And Sheryl, you brought up a question. I'm sure our audience is also thinking about the GPUs versus CPUs. And you were directing that towards Dave. What were your thoughts? I'm going to just kind of let you bring our audience into that conversation. So go ahead and ask the question.
I mean, look, my co-founder is brilliant. He's one of those crazy genius science guys. So he's the techno rep. But you know, Dave, I kept wanting to react or respond to you about the GPU and edge and this whole idea about efficiency, cost efficiency, energy efficiency. All of this is really, really important, right? Because we know that there's just not enough energy out there for what AI is requiring at this point with the large language models for everything we're doing. But then we saw something like DeepSeek come out, and it's exactly what we've been building. And so it's this idea of this model that is using more of high performance computing rather than the GPU. Of course, you use the GPU on the training side, but this idea that you can become much more energy efficient. And there are other pieces of that, things like tokenization that is done quite differently in our model anyway, that really lends to this. And then we were also talking about edge. So go ahead, Brian. Yeah,
no, but you had a question, Dave. You were going to cover that. Is there a differentiator between the two, Dave?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, along the lines of what I was talking about, so edge devices really are going to be using the CPU in a lot of ways. That you now have a series of laptops that are AI-enabled laptops that have GPU or equivalent types of capabilities within them. So we're kind of moving in all these directions all at once. Kind of conveniently for the data centers and stuff, like as time has gone on, we've had new models that are called reasoning models, where the AI model is taking longer time to think through the answer. These models work where they predict the next token. And the next token really just means the next word effectively. And once you start to get through a few words, the model gets trapped because it had to stick with whatever it outputted. And so it could be like a whole paragraph in, and it has to keep that story going, even if it realizes it went down the wrong path. So a reasoning model allows it to actually review the work it did, think about it, and redo it. And so that's wound up being much more effective. But because of that, it's taking a lot more compute. So GPUs are quite effective for that. And that takes time too. As a user, if you want the response back quickly, you need all of that to be processed really fast. So you need a powerful machine to do that. And that's where the GPUs come in. And then with agents, you're going to have it send off one request here, one there, and each of those kind of fan out to 5 requests of their own. So all of these things do add up to a lot of compute. So there's going to be a big trade-off of what can you run on a CPU and what can you run on a GPU. And so it just depends on how complex your workflow is and how sophisticated of a model you need. But I think Sheryl's onto something with her company and what she's building. She's referred to them as these medium large language models, but the smaller you get, the more things you can do with them. So it's just always a trade-off of what are you giving up to do that.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, that's such a good explanation, is one of the things we did from the get-go is, and I should explain the way the large language models are actually built, is there's something called tokenization. So you give a number for as a token. But with the large language models, every letter is tokenized, every letter of every word. So you can imagine the combinations that you need to get to a word, to get to a phrase, to get to an idea, to get to that reasoning, which takes much longer. What we've done is we've tokenized words and phrases, and we've used neurosymbolic language. So
It's more efficient.
It's more efficient, but it's also more human-like, the way our brain works, because we think in stories, we think in metaphors. And so now the ability to use less energy, to go faster, to be able to reason, we just go through 4 turns. And if our language model knows what it doesn't know, and it will either say, I don't know, or I'm going to ask another question to clarify more.
I wonder which method results in fewer hallucinations.
Well, ours doesn't have hallucinations because of this, because
That makes sense.
it's able to know what it doesn't know. You
Yeah.
have to know what you don't know to not hallucinate.
So both of you just touched on something in building your product. Have you experienced this as one of the barriers to I guess going to market? You I mean, Jessie, you said you've just put together your MVP and launched it, but this sounds like you've got a lot of experiences with hallucinations. Talk from both of your perspectives, and Dave, I want yours too. When building out these companies and these services, what is this hallucinations that you're talking about, and what are some of the hiccups in this?
So I'm going to have a less technical explanation for what a hallucination is. A hallucination just simply is something that is just not true. It's an output that is not accurate. And the way that I'm more familiar with hallucinations, actually, so when I first really started understanding what this was is at Startup Grind's April conference last year. It was such a great conference, by the way. Normally, I can't stand these kinds of conferences, but I really loved theirs. I'm going back again. And how I really come across it, honestly, is through my unfair advantage, because I'm also a professor. It gives me an in with these college students who are graduating, looking for jobs and everything. And so I teach American government. And I have, tested ChatGPT with certain things. Even last night, I said, who's the minority leader? Who's the majority leader? And it gave me the wrong person. And then I said, hey, you got that wrong. It said, oh, yep, you're right. Thanks for correcting me. It's bloody blah. And then it went back to the wrong thing later. Even there was this whole phenomenon of how many R's are in the word strawberry. That was like a huge thing. This was a huge thing that people were talking about. ChatGPT could not figure out how many R's were in the word strawberry. So this happens from time to time. And it just made sense while Dave was speaking that when you said AI gets stuck and then has to keep going down that road, that hallucinations are more likely to happen in that scenario than the scenario that Sheryl's describing.
Interesting. Okay. And so Sheryl, sounds like you have had this problem. How have you overcome it? What has been your experience, and what do we need to look out for?
Well, it's not so much that I've had it as much as I'm aware of it, why it happens. Because these large language models, first of all, now you understand what tokenization is and why those combinations would lead it. And also the large language model wants to give an answer. Mm-hmm. It's really programmed to please you. And to please you, it means giving you an answer. And it doesn't always know that it's the wrong answer because they are just getting too large to really go back and really understand when they've got it wrong.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. I want to pivot for a second, Dave, as we're starting to kind of wind down on time. I know a lot of founders listen to this. From your perspective, and again, I'm really kind of going another direction with this. From your perspective, and what's fundable nowadays with things growing so quickly, what are you looking for, and those who are close to you looking for as cues, not necessarily guarantees, but cues that a company and a founder is fundable?
Well, I mean, I'll just talk about like which companies
without giving names.
Yeah, which companies seem like they're on the right track. And so like we've been talking about, this is a fast moving space. Mm-hmm. So your founders need to have an AI expert like Sheryl does, and Jessie, I presume you do too. Yes. The more years experience they have, the better. I mean, there's a dynamic where the younger folks are doing great at bringing new ideas and like breakthroughs in research, but to come up with techniques that can achieve like the types of things you're talking about, both of you. You have to have been doing this for a while, not just the last 2 years where it was the hot thing that everyone jumped on that bandwagon. Mm-hmm. So definitely, like I'm constantly impressed by a startup that has people that have been doing this longer, and there's not a lot of people out there that have been doing this longer, so that helps. Mm-hmm. And then part of that too is because you're likely going to have to pivot along the way. You're going to have to be dynamic and shift to the fast-moving pace of things. So. That's important. And then, along with that, not be locked in too much on your model. There's a bunch of things not to do, which is like, don't build something that's on the roadmap of one of the big model producers, because then they're going to knock you out of business at some point. And then some of these fields are super crowded. So you got to be careful. If you go into something like software writing, like AI assistant coders, there's a ton of companies in that field. And so you have to be able to distinguish yourself. So like which field you kind of pick and how crowded it is matters a lot too.
So I'm hearing that 1, experience matters. 2, you need to have a subject matter expertise in the industry to see where this particular product is going and be able to anticipate it.
Yeah. And
also your competition, what they're doing well, and try not to intersect with them too much so that they don't run you off the road.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you ladies, when you were pitching your idea, and again, not every investor is going to invest at this point, what has been some of the pushback from them when they hear your idea? Like, it's too soon. You were saying in the green room earlier that, one of your investors wasn't too educated in the AI part.
Yes, and just to clarify, so she is not an investor. She was a potential. She actually reached out to me, and she went to connect, but she was an angel investor. She just did not have a good grasp on AI at all. So she was asking me questions that had to do with keywords and filters. Mm-hmm. And job search sites, a ton of legacy sites use keywords and filters, and then they try to plop AI on top of their legacy company. I'm not trying to poo-poo anybody for doing that. I can certainly understand why. But I saw this graphic that said, this is what happens when you put AI on top of a legacy company. And it was a bar of soap. And on top of it was one of those little push dealy thingies, whatever you go, soap dispensers, so it just doesn't really function very well. But I got this person asking about keywords and filters, and I tried to explain multiple times that's not efficient. That's not how AI works. It doesn't make sense. Why bother having AI, anything, if that's all you're going to do with it when it's so much more dynamic. So just getting people to really understand the issue and how much better AI is than keywords and filters, goodness gracious, it's not even the same sport. So getting the understanding there. And then, of course, everybody wants to know your moat. They say, oh, AI is everything. Oh, what prevents LinkedIn and Indeed from doing exactly what you're doing? Like, I get all of it. I get all of the things. And it's, that is a challenge.
And so it's really incumbent on the founder to be able to educate with such a fast-growing industry. And Brian, I saw you take a deep breath.
Well, you kind of tossed that aside, this whole idea of the moat. Did you toss it aside on purpose, or did you toss it aside just because it's terminology that you're used to? Because I wanted to kind of push on that just a little bit.
Well, when you said toss it aside, do you mean like throw it away, or? You
just didn't dig very deep into the meaning of it. Like, and then everybody asks about your moat. And so I just wonder, that's a term I haven't heard before. Would you be willing to talk more about that? Or is there anything even there to talk about?
Sure. So a moat, if you think about, here's how I think of a moat. And Dave, if you think of it completely differently, just, kick me, that's fine. Hard.
It's not easy to be in the presence of greatness.
So what I think of a literal moat. So you have a castle and you have the little river water structure going around your castle to protect your castle. That is a moat. And then when we use that technologically, it's a way to protect. It's a way to protect your tech and to not just make you unique, but make you less penetrable.
So I think having when the incumbents have a big moat, the startups trying to break through, that's where you're disrupting, and that's where a lot of the huge successes have happened in the past. So you need to be disruptive. You need to go after that challenge to a certain degree. You can't just some companies are going to stay clear of that and go in their own lane, but some are going to challenge and try to disrupt. Yes. I'm curious though, you're effectively in the same lane as some of these incumbents that you just mentioned. So how are you viewing that in terms of the moat that exists already today, and you're able to disrupt that?
So as I sit here, I've been working on my startup for only a couple of days, under a year exactly. And I've learned an awful lot. And what I used to think as a wee knave, castles and knaves, we're going down this whole fiefdom system. But anyway, I used to think, this feature and this feature and that feature. No. If for any founders that are listening out there, that is a trap, because features are easily replicable, especially by giant juggernauts. So the answer is, why does LinkedIn not copy you? Well, it's got $1 trillion or whatever it has. It's worth so much money. And so it could, but there are two issues where you could really build a good moat, even if you're in a crowded space. One is positioning. Not everybody's going to copy we're edgy. Our name is Twerk. We're edgy as all hell. You think that LinkedIn's going to start? No. They're not going to match our positioning. That's not going to happen. Second is when it comes to things that are truly proprietary. So could they build their own proprietary, machine learning AI algorithm? Yes, of course they could, but they won't have ours. We have ours, and ours is protected and then patent pending and all that other stuff.
I like that. Okay. So Sheryl, we're getting kind of close on time. We can go longer, but I want to ask you, what has been some of the barriers you've come up against and we're able to kind of push back on? Again, we're speaking from the perspective of pitching your idea to a market, to investors. What are some things you've heard that have given you a little bit of resistance? And then I want to pivot into, with a little bit of time we have left, your book.
Oh, sure.
Definitely got to talk about that. But first, let's talk about the pushback you've gotten and how your unique selling position has kind of overcome that.
Yeah, so we're really early on the funding side. We are just going out, actually officially this week, but we have spoken with investors since last fall, and I've talked to people, and for the most part, there's just been a lot of interest, and usually it's been, you're a little bit early for us. And so I think that there is a natural feeling or approach for early stage companies to build kind of an MVP and get their first clients and start to show some revenue, and then have to rebuild that product because the MVP really isn't up to production standards and it's not able to be scaled. And we started in a very different way, and it's probably because of the experience of our team and my co-founder, we built a production-ready model. So we started and we really waited and we stayed founder funded, which is me. Hello, and and really built this so that it would be production ready and will be scalable. And so it takes a little bit of a conversation for people to really understand that, and not just with me, but then getting into someone maybe from their tech team, if they're not that technical, with my co-founder or our CTO. We have both a chief science officer and a CTO and a chief financial officer. So that's one of the things I would say, which is the biggest thing, is you're a little early, you're pre-revenue. So is there really a market fit? So we have to show similar types of, not the same as we are, but why there's such a hunger in organizations to have what we have and the interest. And we're about to get an LOI from a pretty big early pilot company. Oh, yes.
There it is there.
Thank you.
But I mean, I think this is something a lot of startups who are listening right now have heard, like product market fit, get that first customer.
Yeah.
Have your proof of concept in place.
Yeah.
So you don't get then that cycle comment of like, you're too early. I mean, it's really the path. And so what I want to see from you based on that experience, and educating the market, right? Yeah. You've been doing this 18 months now. You launched your book. Was the book a part of educating the market, or was it the startup outcome out of the book? Because there's a lot of EQ in the book.
Oh, yeah. No, the book came before Parsley was even an idea for me, although it really was always my vision. It's been my vision for 25 years.
Mm-hmm. Did you train your model on your book?
Yeah, my model that's just a small part of the training, because we have to have a pretty wide perspectives, a lot of data in there, but the book is in there. But yeah, so did you want to ask more
talk
about
a little bit about
book?
what is the book, because I know we just keep saying the book and imposter syndrome, but talk a little bit about what that is and then how that went into Parsley.
Would you also repeat the title of the book, please, for me, Sheryl?
Sure. It's called The Imposter Lies Within. And so when I wrote this book, I became familiar with the term imposter syndrome, and I'd been working with groups and individuals, one-on-one. And what I kept seeing is this feeling of I'm not good enough, or I don't deserve this, or I'm not worthy, or I keep self-sabotaging and I don't know why. I know what I want, but what is keeping me from getting it? And then I became familiar with the term imposter syndrome, and I would hear things like, well, everyone has that. You just have to live with it. It's normal. It's a human thing. And my stubborn mind would not accept that. Because I really I believe you can heal almost anything. I just believe
I deserve to be here, and I'm worthy of being here, and whatever I don't know, I can learn.
That wasn't me, by the way.
That was perfect.
Yeah. We've adopted that as our mantra around here.
I love it.
And also imposter syndrome, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that. That's for somebody who's already done the thing.
Right. All the excuses, all the stories. Imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern where someone believes they're not good enough, despite evidence to the contrary. It's not a beginner's phenomenon. It happens really to very accomplished people. Think Albert Einstein, Tina Fey, Steve Martin, Michelle Obama. I mean, it's across the gamut of...
Yeah, Brian.
We were having this conversation earlier, and one of the things I was saying to Brian is that one of the help if suffering from a moment of imposter syndrome, one of the exercises that I do is look at the data.
Yeah.
And really, you can look at data on somebody and say 98% of the data is showing that you have a positive effect, you have a positive influence or impact on whatever it is that you're involved with. And you're focusing on this 2%, which is not the way to run a company. if yourself is the company.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's this, I know, but I feel.
Interesting.
There's a disconnect. It's not logical. We know it's not logical, Brian.
Yeah.
And Brian. We know it's not logical, but it's like, and when somebody says it's not logical, you're fine, just move on, just, get your confidence, do it a few times, and you'll be great. What happens is people still have this feeling, but they suppress it. And then that feeling of I'm going to be found out as a fraud or a phony grows. So the most important thing is for us not to deny someone's experience, but rather to say, okay, where is that disconnect?
Well, it grips you.
It does.
So your book, does it not only allow us to notice it, and maybe where it comes from, but also to confront it and hopefully overcome it.
Yes. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I really wanted to take people past the awareness. So many people start with awareness. This is what it is. And sometimes I agree and sometimes I don't. But the awareness, but then the insight. So there's 4 stages: awareness, insight. Okay, broadly, we know not good enough, not worthy, not deserving. But what does that mean for me? Because we're all an edge case, right? We all have different backgrounds, different experiences. How is that showing up? Maybe it's showing up more in the workplace, not so much at home. Maybe it's showing up more in my personal relationships, and I'm rock solid at work. Different things. So the insight, I came up with 7 archetypes, and I experienced all 7. So by the way, I never say suffer. I never say I'm suffering, and I never say I have it. I never say that, because when we suffer, our subconscious mind hears that and it says, okay, you're suffering. And then it feels like you're suffering. So I always say I experienced that.
Interesting.
And I never have it, because why do I want to subsume that into my identity?
Oh, this is
I don't
powerful.
have that.
This is powerful stuff.
I feel like I'm hearing that maybe the hallucinations that AI have, I'm having.
You know what? Maybe that's how this all
I
comes
think
full
that's
circle.
so real. Like, it's
Right?
like, no, the AI's got it right. We do have these hallucinations where logically we know what we should be doing, but then we feel something else and we hallucinate. And in the sense of like, no, this makes sense, but no, my gut's telling me I need to go this way. Or we call it our gut, right?
Right.
But I think the trap is that you believe the hallucination.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when AI just gives us something that we can obviously identify as a hallucination, you can say, no, that didn't actually happen. We know what really happened.
If people actually bother to question it, which they should, but yes.
Well, belief is a very powerful word. So beliefs are our reality, but they're not the reality. And beliefs are changeable. So I get into all of that. I get into beliefs, actually in 2 sections of the book, in the awareness, but then I also get in, or maybe insights, and then I get into later in the book where it's really getting back into alignment and integration. And there's a big chapter on beliefs, because we can change our beliefs.
Neuroplasticity. And
I
all
believe, yeah. And so there's a lot to the book, but it goes in these 4 stages: awareness, insight, alignment, and integration. And it really talks about, what does that mean? Why can you get past it? Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
And that's my second book, by the way, but it's chapter 7 in this book. and it's what I call the healthy zone. So the healthy zone, imagine you have this sort of a zone. I know zones are on the ends of fields. I always use these sports analogies, but let's call like a circle in the middle here, right? And there's a pendulum swinging over. Well, we're dynamic. Human beings are adaptable, and we're dynamic, and things are changing around us. And so you could be really feeling rock solid, super confident, and then you get a call and a deal fell through, or your child is sick, or something's going on, and it just throws that pendulum off to the edge, right? So in this adaptable zone, almost everything is healthy. It's adaptive. Fear keeps us safe. It keeps us out of the lion's den. Doubt is our great discernment muscle. Even comparison. How do we know who we are if we don't know who we're not?
So what you're saying is you find a positive intention in that part that tries to sabotage the whole. So the
Yes.
fear, for example, it's just trying to keep me safe.
Fear is trying to keep me safe. What I want to get to, though, what is outside of that zone is maladaptive. And so often we are here and we normalize it because
Outside
We're
the zone.
outside.
our mind,
For those who can't see.
our mind equates familiarity with safety, right? And we normalize that. Even though we're not safe, and it's not comfortable because it's familiar, we get to a point where we start to just stay in that because it's so familiar. We interpret it as safe and comfortable.
So, Sheryl, you've probably heard me say this when I'm working with execs to get ready for the stage, like we've been doing with Transform as well as startups, is I often say the best state you can be in is a creative state. Because when you take the stage, oftentimes people equate public speaking to death. I mean, they really rank it really high. It's terrifying to public speak. But if you are resourceful enough outside of your comfort zone, you can stay in creativity and connectivity so that you don't feel like you're being separated, which can lead to fear and feeling of like, I'm going to die up here.
Brian, that reminds me of one of the exercises. So there are 20 exercises in the book. And if anyone gets the book,
Where can people get the book?
You can get it. Probably the easiest is Amazon. But if you do, send me an email and I'll send you as a gift a workbook. I don't sell it. I have a workbook that literally goes along with the book.
That's great.
So we'll give all that in the show notes.
But I'm going to give you a quick exercise. Do I have time?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So you talked about fear. So in our body, fear and excitement feel exactly the same. We feel it. If you feel it in your gut, which is where I feel it, maybe a little bit in your chest pounds, think about it when you get really excited. Nervousness and excitement, I shouldn't even say fear, nervousness, it's a little less than fear, right? Feels like excitement. So think about getting to a fork in the road, and there's a road to the left and a road to the right. And you get to this fork in the road, and if you go to the left, you go on the path that you're probably very used to. You get a little nervous, and then if you keep going down the path, you start to worry. And if you keep going, and you might just, go right past worry, you'll go into anxiety. So if you go to the right, now you go from excitement. You step into excitement, you go to curiosity, and that next stop is creativity. So what you want to do is just change in your mind that nervousness is excitement. You're excited. You're going to start to get curious about all the good things that are going to go right, and you're going to flow right into creativity. That might be a workshop. You might go into your workshop. You might go into a field full of, fairy dust or whatever. Just whatever makes sense for you. Go into Candyland. I don't care where you go, but go into something that feels exciting and creative and open and full of possibilities.
I think that's great.
How, right?
I think it's great too. Dave just said it. I think it's. I also think it's easier for some people than it is for others. Right? Some people are a little
practice.
Oh, it's practice. Like a.
It's practice. It's practice because you in your brain you have patterns that actually get created in your brain. And it's like a road going through a field. And it's like this well-worn path. And it's so comfortable. Your brain just goes down it without you even thinking about it. And when you create these new patterns of behavior or thought or beliefs, it's like going through a field where the grass is really high and it's scratching your legs and there might be snakes in the grass and it's uncomfortable. You just have to forge a new road.
I just love that. I love how excitement leads to creativity.
So watch this. Okay. It's funny you use the word excitement. So I often tell people when they get ready to take the stage to overcome their fear is don't use the word excited. You'll watch when people take the stage or they're in front of a camera, they'll say something like this. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited. But really it's an expression of their fear.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so what I do is I tell people, don't say excited.
Yeah.
Right? Re-engineer it to say, I'm in love to be here. or something like that. But what that's doing is it's moving you towards your values.
I love it.
And values are very connective. And what you naturally then want to do is remember why others are here. So again, I love the word excitement because you're exactly right, Sheryl. It's a fork in the road. However, what people are doing is they're changing the sign. They're not going to curiosity and creativity. They're just voicing their fear, and it gets worse.
Yeah, they don't move in that place. And in their mind, I think what you're saying, Brian, is in their mind and in their body.
Disrupt
because
it.
Emotions,
I'm saying disrupt it.
Emotions are what we feel in our body. They're energetic. So every emotion you will feel somewhere in your body. You know what love feels like. You know what joy feels like. You know what fear feels like. You know what anger feels like.
Yeah.
Feeling is the story we give to that emotion.
Yeah. So when you both transform this coming next week, or actually when this airs this week, watch how many people take the stage and say, I'm so excited to be here. It's an expression of their fear.
Very interesting.
And then tell yourself, oh, they should have said, I love being here.
You know, love is disarming.
Yeah.
And it also helps you kind of settle.
Yeah.
You know, it's calming.
But it's back on the right path, like Sheryl's talking about, where you go, because love is very creative.
Yes.
It's like, I need to find a way.
It's open.
I love this is great.
Yeah.
I'm in love with this idea, Brian. I'm so in love with this
All right, and so
idea.
we'll end on a high. No, just kidding. All right. So what I want to do, this is great. So you can find Sheryl's book on Amazon. Give the name one more time.
The Imposter Lies Within.
The Imposter Lies Within. So I want to make sure before we go out, we go around the horn one more time. And Dave, we'll start with you. You're taking in this stuff that's not so much engineering, but it's emotionally engineering, right? So, but kind of summarize what our audience needs to know about AI and being fundable, what investors are looking for, maybe from a high level. I'll let you kind of go anywhere with that, and then cap it off with how can people connect with you?
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great discussion. Thanks, Sheryl, for sharing. I mean, I think it's like a lot of that is driving growth. You grow by pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and getting over the imposter syndrome. So I think AI ties into that nicely because it's developing so quickly. Like people have to disrupt themselves. They have to change. I pivoted my career for this space. So I think AI gives you a lot of opportunities. The people that will be successful in the long runs are the ones that figure out how to apply AI to what they do, whatever field they're in. So I think that's the theme for the startup world as well, is like find that lane that you want to be in to have AI steer the future. Happy to connect with people on LinkedIn. That's the best spot.
All right, wonderful. And Jessie, high level, what you're working on, what you would like our audience to kind of remember about you, and then how can they connect with you?
So I would love for people to remember me as the lawyer who tried to pivot, because Dave, you mentioned pivoting. And that's exactly why I started Twrk. I'm an attorney by trade, but I hate it. That's what I say. That's how I start my pitches. I say, I'm an attorney by trade, but I hate it. And it was really that frustration. So many great companies are born out of sheer frustration. And I wanted to do something better than keywords and filters. I wanted to utilize the power and magic of AI to do better for people. I want to take the work out of finding work for people. So the best way for people to connect with me is definitely not via email. Oh my God, the giant abyss that has become. It is just a pit of despair. But LinkedIn is definitely the best way. If you can get into my DMs, then I will respond. Eventually it will happen.
And you're good at it, actually. Yeah, don't sleep on you being so busy that you can't respond, because you've been really accessible. So that's a great quality.
Thank you.
Sheryl, this has been a long time coming, you being on the show.
Oh my goodness. I'm so grateful too. And what a great panel. So let's see. What do I want you to remember me for? I think it's really about the human connection. We've become so disconnected. And I actually just did a TEDx on this, how empathetic AI can change the world. But
you should have led with that. That's my fault, though. But that's amazing. Okay. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you. No, that was a great experience. And so that's on YouTube. But it's this idea that we need to bring human connection back to the foreground, and we need to do it in healthier, more productive ways. And that's what I really envision Parsley doing for people, helping them kind of regulate their emotions, have better responses, better conversations with themselves first. Right? The first conversation is between the ears, and then better conversations and better connection back to each other. So that's really everything we're about. Our company right now is, and I know this stays on the internet forever, so it's 2025, March, but we are raising capital right now, our first round. And so that's really, anybody that would like to have a more in-depth conversation, we're very, very open to that. I would love that. We have an incredible team.
I don't think that ever stops for
it
startups,
probably
but
never stops.
So you didn't need a date.
I wish it would. Please stop. Oh gosh.
Your path, you chose it. So how can people connect with you?
Okay, so LinkedIn, absolutely. Just Sheryl Anjanette, I believe it is, on LinkedIn, and then email my first name. And by the way, Sheryl is with an S. SHERYL ANJANETTE.
If I may, Brian, I know we're wrapping up. I think that a lot of people who are not familiar with AI assume that there's human and then there's AI. And they think that if we want to go more toward connection, that AI is not the way to go. And I would disagree with that. I think that AI is a tool. It can be used for good. It can be used for evil. It can be used for disconnection. It can be used for connection. I know that's what we want to do here at twrk. It seems like that's what everybody is interested in doing here. So I don't want your listeners who are not so familiar to be stuck in that rut.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great point. I mean, I have to admit there was one moment where I had to correct ChatGPT at one point, and it was so receptive and nice that I actually learned something about how not to be defensive in that moment. So I think you're absolutely right. I think there's great crossover, and there's amazing things to come. But I want to thank all three of you for being here. You're amazing people. I could have sat down for hours just talking to you individually. The fact that you were here, I wanted our audience to meet you and get some high-level insights from you. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It's really an honor for us to have you.
Thank you, Brian.
And Brian, always a pleasure.
Sir.
Always a pleasure.
Absolutely a pleasure. Today was awesome. You guys are amazing. I would have loved to have carried this on, and we'll have you all back again, I hope.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a wrap. We'll see you next week. Be safe.